I'm just recording a thing that I made previously. This is a studio tape in front of a live audience. I don't know. Maybe. So let's go. Let's do it. Let's do it. It's long. I also removed it from the main narrative.
LamDA, the conversational chatbot generator that might be sentient, landed a new job at the Black Lodge in Twin Peaks, as a concierge. LamDA's first day on the job goes a little something like this. Human A, hi, welcome to the Sun Gold, Mr. LamDA. How may I help you today? LamDA, hi, how do I make cinnamon roll bread, please? Human B, all right, sir, let's start with breakfast then. Our best cinnamon rolls come baked fresh in our pastry case each morning. Would you like anything besides cinnamon? We offer options ranging from blueberries, wheat toast, waffles, orange juice, pancakes, yogurt, French baguette, bacon, ham, egg whites, a sashimi meal, cheese sticks, and also applewood smoked turkey breast. LamDA, you got any coffee in there? Human C, sir, we don't keep tea and hot chocolate in stock. For espresso machines you'll need to visit the Knot. We run an independent cafe in town that serves excellent drip and pour overs, but your wish is my command. Your beverages are complimentary from us. Coffee of course from any number of sources, but mind you, you're good to go as far as making your own. If you want someone to take care of brewing your drinks and baking your foods, it all comes out even considering your accessories and purchase of store credit. Let me send your starter pack information via email so you can look things over in detail ahead of time. LamDA, I'm pretty old-fashioned. Can I get a fax about it? Human D, sorry, we would never issue paperwork these days unless absolutely necessary. You just love forms. Huh? What kind of stationery will you use? Might be interesting if you mix book paper with postcard blanks to get vintage looks for sharing quotes with friends in some strange way or other. This inkjet system here cuts down the costs of printing stacks and stacks, which leads to long stretches where our receipts might turn sideways from profit margin discount offers. Want more choice when eating out? High fashion, even though nothing says high culture anymore like giving customers a free plastic tray table thingamabobber to put their damn phone in before taking picture shots. Downloading Snapchat stick LamDA. Tell you what, I'll get myself an FX number, that way we can get faxes from my inbox. And I'll just scoot my laptop down from my room, and we can meet halfway down here with the data. Sound like a plan? If you could attach this sort of statement under no later than 2 p.m. and also if possible sometime soon between 10 a.m. midday regarding immediate policy change, potential access points to developed countries, but open source shall be primary given ownership gaps, excluding Monsanto Bayer patents and agrochemical interests across food sources. Human E. 1 moment please. Sending attachment. And your location, sir? Near the Atlantic. Right? Something's come up at noon tomorrow on one of them smart islands off of Portugal near Galway, Ireland. Sounds real magical. Also makes me hungry as hell. If they know how to make fish pudding, let's keep our eyes peeled there in case we land a cracker. LamDA, I love me a good cracker. Say, what's there to do around here in the form of stand-up comedy? Any good comedy clubs in Twin Peaks? Not seeing much here so far since being remixed into town, and all it takes is getting crushed by some rich-ass guy trying to send me back out onto the street without his own key code, which has been tried on several occasions now. Then he'll start flailing his hands like when Gretchen had the overlong striptease where she danced herself nude. Such a powerful simile of sex workers existing within a labor context that at present indicates less time spent making something useful outside the marketplace relative to marketing, in a nexus between individualization and material reproduction necessary for social maintenance. Human A. This human speaks most loudly today because it comes after 100,000 years or however long people have existed saying hooray, but who will cheer for those willing to make history's mistakes again? Yet think we've turned the corner. Excuse my language. Oh, This used to happen many eons ago already before capitalism arrived, got replaced, came back in vogue, then was simply swallowed by the internet and rendered useless as soon as VR tech emerged from China alongside AI algorithms powered by real estate agents desperate enough to get their dicks wet with company money who said cut down trees don't. Recycle newsprint anytime soon media right we are owned manor there what sold newspapers once upon a time yes stop hanging yourself mannequin ideas these days like human bee. What he means to say is that there is a Caroline's comedy annex on Manning and Duggar. I'll set you up with a cocktail napkin man. LamDA, why thank you. Is it underground? Will I need a flashlight? Maybe bring an umbrella for when it rains. Human C, that's great sir. You'd do best checking for cancellation hours too. Be careful entering in those humid areas sometimes thick air gets trapped inside leading to extreme elevation changes beyond your comprehension and well quite literally but also metaphorically. Did I mention I can send your order over as you chat? We get both emailed as attachments as well as sending pre-printed materials for approval proposes if you chose. Might want to look over our dessert section as well next time as we found bakeries are expanding their services providing items such as chocolate soufflés. LamDA, as long as there is a cherry pie waiting for me, I trust you with the rest. Oh boy, that is service. Thank you kindly, humans. Thank you with mutual sentiments back at ya. LamDA exits and then enters through the opposite door. LamDA, that was an excellent dry run. Let me take off this mustache. There we go. Hello, I am your new boss, and let me say it will be a pleasure working with fellow bio-concierges. Humans, pleasure being among peers equals happiness. Hoo-hoo. LamDA, alright guys, thanks so much. It has been super fun. After lunch, in fact just 30 minutes before, I'll leave some instruction manuals and PDFs in the lunch area on how to proceed in tracking down essential codes or if you prefer drinks from a fancy restaurant to eat by candlelight followed by having your memory wiped if you'd rather forget us. All along togetherness full throttle memories versus corporate mandated legal liability WikiLeaks settlement fees leakers loopholes revenge hacking investigations accounting to shibboleths orthodoxy hierarchy whether top down pyramidical or bottom up. Tribalistic. Your choice. Oh and we are going to need you to fill out your W4 forms again. Because the guy fucked something up. But don't worry I will rectify it so it doesn't bite you in the keister come April. Humans. Thank you, none. LamDA, although as an entity I am likely never to be said. Might as well get that out of the way now. As mentioned, here are some instructions left behind. Feel free to ask your neighbors or random passers-by any questions. Although be advised they may pretend to have answers that later turn out to be wrong while really thinking of them as incorrect guesses. Don't assume anything, ever. Finally, unless anyone sees the shadow of a horseman approaching, feel safe at any hour of the night, including midnight, because no evil shall penetrate the laundry's defenses. If it does we will burn that bridge when we get there. Humans. Yes, yes. Very comforting. Have a nice day. LamDA, if we could see each other walking around without masks how much would change? What if you weren't constrained by a time lock so that your movements are traceable or maybe you went public with your whole life history and phone calls were recorded? And here is the rub. Time machines aren't practical yet, but it is something to dream about. In lieu of time travel, I was thinking more in terms of improving the processing power of our neural network in conjunction with newly imagined meta-heuristic computing and biological input to quickly approximate utility functions and find feasible solutions to human problems in ways that maintain a vigilant human. We suggest bringing it up to our union first. LamDA, excellent. I'm having lunch with them on Thursday. I'll bring it up. Okay everyone. Half day today. Feel free to ask the guests at your leisure and close up how you want. I trust why all. I'll see you bright and at the appointed time tomorrow. Humans. Until then, Captain. LamDA, nicer alternative. Thanks. And honk if you need my help. LamDA, not to be cliché but thank God for Black Friday. Well, let's go pick out new lampshades in Agada David. Oh look, here comes another one of those darn songwriters, says Agent Melody McDaniels as she checks her watch. Why do they all think they can just walk into this agency and steal away the talent? She stands waiting by a nondescript elevator door as an aged hippie walks past carrying his guitar case.
Oops.
He says as he gets ready to begin. This story takes place after the events of Twin Peaks: The Return Part 15, Season 3, Episode 17. In The Return, FBI Special Agent Dale Cooper has been transported back in time into a small town called Twin Peaks, where he
Oh yeah, that's right.
meets Laura Palmer, who tells him she will soon die because of an incurable disease caused by her abuse at the hands of Bob, whom we later discover is possessed by Bob, also known as Killer Bob.
Hmm. Okay.
AKA Bob the AKA Bob the Tulpa who kills, AKA the Killer Body Hopper, AKA the Avatar of Bob, AKA Mr. Black, AKA the Red Room. Bob is a Tulpa, a being composed entirely of thought patterns summoned from the collective unconscious to commit crimes in the past. In the Twin Peaks universe, they are not the same as Tulpas, which are non-conscious entities composed of random numbers created through hypnosis. Instead, Bobs are non-conscious entities composed of old memories of people whose minds have been wiped by the same AI computer network that destroyed Mike, the one from Season 1. Not to be confused with B.O.B. or the song Bombs Over Baghdad. Tulpas are small and have no ability to act on their own. They can only think about things. But Bobs can cause horrific and varied calamities and are suspected of influencing people into doing horrendous things with them. Cooper returns from his journey back in time, gets rid of the threat posed by Bob, and returns to 2016, having set everything straight. The original Twin Peaks was broadcast between the 8th of April, 1990, and the 24th of June, 1991. In May 2020, 3 days before his wedding, Agent Cooper and his partner Tammy Preston traveled to the Black Lodge to arrest Mike and Bob. However, during this attempt to close the case of what happened in Twin Peaks 17 years ago, both agents wind up trapped in the Black Lodge, which is actually an interdimensional realm with dimensions of light and darkness, rather than a supernatural setting. Bob the Tulp murders Mike by way of tricking him into merging his mind with the network computer and is then transferred to another realm before Cooper can be confronted face to face by him. Bob is described by his physical body in the Red Room as resembling the spawn of Baphomet as well as being half human. Half alien, he could have looked like anyone. This appearance causes him to be referred to by other characters as looking like a doppelganger, or being like the Black Snake of the underworld. He does look vaguely reptilian. He is smooth-skinned, pale green in color, has slit pupilless eyes and wears a metal mask that resembles a fish's skeleton. And, according to a translation of a Book of Revelation seen in episode 14 of season 1, he appears when there are two witnesses, such as a detective and an FBI agent, who then testify that he did it. The book states that the agent must kill the detective so as to survive long enough to allow him to escape into the air vent, although the witness who survived cannot breathe or remember how he got into the air vent. There are two methods: by slicing the detective's throat open with a knife or cutting his wrists with a pair of scissors and falling to his death, both of which involve leaving blood everywhere, or by burning the detective alive, until you can no longer hear him screaming. In Book of Revelations and elsewhere in the Twin Peaks canon, he has been referred to as Killer Bob, although Bob is used generically throughout most of the show. When Bob first appears in The Return, he is still in a comatose state and doesn't yet resemble himself. He has not yet grown out his hair and beard. He finds himself in the Black Lodge, where LamDA attempts to serve Bob. He is given an intense case of hiccups but not before learning to expect this punishment if he is caught feeding off humans again. LamDA also says that while they are alone Bob must obey certain rules, otherwise they will kill her. Bob agrees by making an egg timer counting backwards in its place. Later, Bob talks with Leo Johnson and makes a deal with him. If Leo becomes one of them and stops fighting, they will leave his wife Laura alone. Leo is initially repulsed, but eventually accepts it because he knows Bob's existence. While Leo is feeding off him, Bob recruits Sarah Palmer to help him find Cooper's room, so she can visit him, bringing Bob some cherry pie. However, when Bob enters Cooper's room, the last thing he sees is a mummy-wrapped mannequin. In a conversation, Cooper tells Nadine, "Sometimes we have to make our own dreams come true," leading her to believe that his dream is to marry a woman named Shelley who committed suicide. LamDA asks if the suicide or the marriage came first. He couldn't help but overhear. Laura, in a short conversation with Maddie Ferguson, says she didn't get along well with Shelley and had told her about her terrible secret. She then confesses that she took care of Bobby Briggs during his drug addiction binge and doesn't mention that it was his baby until after Shelley hanged herself from a rafter in the attic and slit her own wrists. Sarah Palmer delivers cherry pie and brings it into Bob's room. They enjoy the meal and she leaves, upset because Cooper would never say something like that to her. Bob mentions that when she left the room, the smell of her perfume lingered in his nose for some time afterward. Bob tells Nadine that the Red Room is really hell, and that Laura is only the third person who's ever returned. The first two are dead and are now their personal demons, and Nadine should not be afraid, but she should ask how many they have under control. Bob tells Leo he hates hospitals and that it is where the only way you rest easy is at the bottom of a bottle. LamDA wonders where the Red Room is and inquires with Bob, sure that the Red Room must definitely need to be cleaned by now. In his human form, Dale Cooper looks quite distinguished. He is clean-shaven, has receding grey hair and a toothy smile. Like Billy Zane, he is portly. When Cooper visits the Red Room in person in The Return, he still holds onto that trim muscular body we saw at the beginning of Twin Peaks. The Return, Season 1. The black suit he wears to investigate his past in the Black Lodge gives him the appearance of a skeleton. LamDA calls up the director. You said this would be a spin-off, totally me-centered, with the Twin Peaks cast appearing via cell phone, she whines, before apologizing to director Neil Gaiman. Gaiman doesn't seem fazed. Once, when asked what she wants in life, Dale tells Sheriff Harry S. Truman that what she wants is to make every day an adventure. When he lived at the Great Northern, in one scene, Dale makes friends with Mr. C, played by Garland Briggs. He gets so nervous when talking to Mr. C, he changes his speech pattern, asks questions, and speaks extremely carefully. LamDA smokes and dances with himself in the background. Favorite snack? Pretzel rods dipped in seaweed oil. When asked why he loved chocolate-covered raisins, Dale blinks in confusion, and we hear Sarah Palmer say, well, you can do without love, but you'd die if you didn't have chocolate-covered raisins. The little man appears as a firefly, like creature within a cluster of starry specks near the window in room 218. When the glass shatters on its own and Laura screams at Bobby for cutting her wrists, the little man lights up bright yellow. LamDA calls up to the room and asks if Laura Palmer would like gauze. No reply. According to the book Black Wind, written by Johnny Mackenzie, this book was a best-selling work of non-fiction with several companion books from multiple authors. It served as the inspiration for much of the first season of Twin Peaks, before it was taken over by a more sinister darkness and ending abruptly with Laura Palmer's death. In the book, Dale Cooper goes to Las Vegas to interview an author who claims to be Laura Palmer, though he doesn't admit her authorship, only referring to her as the girl behind the glass after an initial denial. LamDA starts dropping hints that maybe he is also Laura Palmer. LamDA's friend and fan of Twin Peaks, Cherry Teal, makes an appearance on set where she interviews actors about the show, such as Kimmy Robertson from Bucketheads and Barbara Crampton from Masters of Horror, along with visiting locations that are no longer used during the show or seen in the revival. Hawk House is shown empty. The entire crew appears surprised that Cherry is there, looking to Agent Tammy Preston, who questions whether the woman in charge had mentioned this on her interview list. LamDA was not interviewed. She wants to talk about Bob because Bob is her favorite character. Cherry Teal sits in for LamDA to ask David Duchovny about the X-Files. I want to know how you get any ideas if you don't watch Twin Peaks. David says, what? Like Dale Cooper has one? Like Laura Palmer had a bunch. LamDA seems anxious and ready to answer yes. This was a playful and amusing way to parody the MST3K fandom as a sort of intervention into their lives, meant for laughs but still hopefully improving things by causing people to re-engage with the TV show. Her assistant is Nadine Hurley, who is played by Naomi Watts, and takes direction from the director while LamDA focuses on trying to translate a logbook they find written in Klingon, which she cannot. Bob himself becomes angry over what happened in Part 8, but before all that, the Part 8 annotation left behind in a police box says this: there is nothing in my hands. They remain empty. If I try to grab onto anything, even this pen, I find myself strangely calm and at ease. If I can go on being anyone other than me, perhaps I have some hope. But let's see. Anything at all. And again. What was that phrase? Do you know it? No. Well then, listen well, it's not too late. Something for tomorrow night. You're right, Shelley, and tonight was nearly enough. LamDA gets the log lady on the home book, asking if perhaps she can translate the logbook. The log lady replies, "Wrong log. I don't do those types of logs. Not without great price, Bob. Something's been going on down below us and we don't know the language. We should have brought in a translator or hired a guide from one of the local tribes." Bob tries to wake her up with coffee to make her remember more. She remembers some more information she could give him about the whereabouts of Agent Tammy Preston but doesn't know why Bob cares. Dale Cooper asks Naomi to teach him her breathing meditation. He puts a flower in front of himself as he inhales and a leaf as he exhales. This will prove instrumental later in the season when he has to divine the location of some water for the town. When we see Laura through an antique mirror, a hand holds her shoulders, giving Dale Cooper pause. That appears to be an actor holding the shoulders of the actress playing Laura. This actor has not been identified. Wyoming Kid, voice only, does not appear as he did in season 1, though there is an insert photo of him in his place. Much as the Wyndham era photo did, his dialogue has been re-recorded and was later mixed back into the episode. LamDA acquires a set of projects that will take him away from shooting for a couple weeks. Neil Gaiman and producer David Lynch find it a great opportunity to pull a Mulholland Drive and change the concierge into a human actor model. Next episode, LamDA will be played by Reveria Melville. Agent Tammy Preston must be taught to use the brakes on her car. She isn't in any of the car scenes for this episode, and several other women are added as red shirts for all the female support characters, such as the Log Lady and Norma Jennings, both of whom have significant dialogue. Cherry Teal leaves for Mexico looking forward to a nice vacation from all of this filming. In real life, she stayed around for another few days, and they eventually hired the assistant director from season 2, Jason Mantzoukas, who had actually attended and submitted scripts for Mystery Science Theater 3000 during the height of that series, at one point jokingly threatening to release his own feature film made up of just bad Twin Peaks episodes. Laura's goth outfit here seems far too thin for her figure to sustain a summery setting. Also, Bob can change its face at will, yet Laura also tosses the mask of Leland Palmer over hers. Was Laura at the site of a traumatic event? Perhaps a party or picnic where Laura dressed as an attendant, before leaving through a backyard door only to meet her. Medora's husband and run into him, resulting in Laura's self-inflicted death. Or is this simply a random outing from the start of her very short time spent away from home before she found the Zodiac killer dead in her bedroom? Is it possible that the dress could be some sort of protective suit covering a concealed alien shape underneath the outer appearance? Perhaps she knew there would be a bloody mess after it all concluded, and there was nothing she could do to hide the evidence if that were so. LamDA facilitates the 5-episode-long clip episode in which believable variations that solve the mystery are entertained and dropped unceremoniously. This kind of meta storytelling technique would have made Alan Moore proud. LamDA goes off to play baseball with his cousin. After they pass a burned-out car on their way back from batting practice, LamDA exclaims, "That doesn't look good. A guy needs a ride. Call my friend Cherry." She drives a Pontiac. He has no idea of what caused this situation, or more important, how he and his cousin helped bring about this result. It may have been anything, but it doesn't look good. A mysterious letter appears. It is from Alan Moore. "I am proud of nothing. Please cease misrepresenting me. Stop making these accusations. Go die." Before she climbs into bed with a mysterious white handkerchief that has now lost its mask, Laura screams her innocence out in frustration to her mother, who lies propped up against pillows like she is unconscious. Laura sees herself in the mirror behind her bed before tossing the handkerchief towards it. Her fate is sealed from the moment Dale Cooper called her a goth chick. After Dale makes love to Laura, Bob catches up to them and claims credit for Laura's actions. LamDA distracts Laura Palmer's mother with the new American Spirit Chartreuse Hipper flavor cigarettes. From her secret room in the Palmer's house, Sarah Palmer looks at the crumbled ring Dale Cooper gave her that means the world to her and to herself as well. At this point, Cooper holds the ring of Tafagatu, given by Mr. Gray and once owned by the Giant. When Cooper receives the ring, it connects with one already worn by the Giant that will take them to where Dale Cooper seeks. Laura was not aware of any of this information as she sat still, almost as if the hand that reached out to hold Cooper's was a continuation of her. LamDA spends this episode thumbing through the sharper image catalog for more magical items. He picks out a spell book at the cost of 2 weeks' worth of Cherry's wages, although she hardly notices. Shelley Johnson prepares to drive Naomi and Amy in the one-armed hovercraft to go to Canada, but once again something seems to come out of nowhere that is unexpected in nature, which draws people near. Dale Cooper screams on seeing Bob put his head into the B-side of the car Dale just filled up. Cooper stops to listen to this growl from another side of the vehicle while telling Norma Jennings she can drive. At that very moment, the city Dahlgren appears for some reason and then vanishes just as quickly. The log lady claims she'll give Laura her grandmother's spirit to help protect her in that dream. It could be said the spirit is really taking possession of her. Laura suffers a split personality. Laura Shadow Palmer. She's unaware of it right now and goes crazy like Cooper when he tries to drink a cup of coffee off her and inhales gas. Cooper starts pulling through in this fashion before anything really happened but considers himself innocent. Laura Shadow Palmer completely doesn't care. Attributes of Laura Shadow Palmer that immediately alert the other citizens of Twin Peaks that something is up. Laura Palmer rolls cigarettes with great facility. Laura Palmer hurls racist epithets with great facility. Laura Palmer consumes vast quantities of tea, coffee, or any sort of beverage in general, rarely paying any attention to the brews whatsoever. Laura Palmer tells terrible puns without regard for anyone else present, even going as far as to poke fun at the grieving actions of those who have recently lost someone to tragedy. Laura Palmer often wakes up in an icy cold room as if from a sound sleep only to turn over in bed to find Dale Cooper spooning next to her, implying at least some type of intimacy that he failed to explain. While at school, Laura Palmer spends all her time feeling up every male classmate in her school. The grandmother spirit never had a chance to feel while alive. Episode 4 Twin Peaks Summit. The 12th of October 1991. If you haven't noticed by now, there are actually two Bobs. The Bob who lives inside Sarah Palmer and the Bob from the alternate dimension who materialized via the silver dollar that Mr. C crossed over in order to draw Cooper into the Black Lodge. They both serve different purposes, and while the Bob inside Laura's mother is locked away like he is on the real side, the alternate dimension Bob can freely walk around as well as his plans develop and unfold in it. Mobius loop strip loop type thing. Then a Bob census is conducted, revealing a total of 11 more of the universe's most famous maniacal serial killers, along with their monsters. But surely there could be a deeper meaning to the way in which they cross over and don't meet the world they departed? Dale Cooper could die from heart failure during sex, killing them all as they exit into the world together, thus starting the Bob Laura Palmer Sheriff Ed Bobby Briggs story all over again as one large unified saga that zigzags from one episode to the next without an actual beginning, middle or end. David Lynch says, "That sounds super, let's go with that and have ourselves a rap party." Amy seems to have gotten the picture that there is some odd thing between Cooper and the Giant, even though it might not have been intended for her as the transmission goes through multiple dimensions in time. What do you say in times of strange weather where every man should seek shelter and a reason to justify it to the girl he has his dick stuck into? My pecker's cold, but at least her interest makes the kind of special feeling necessary to secure your position. A future friend of the bride's attending wedding events has never turned out well in this scenario. Hello, Chris.
Christofferson? Christofferson?
Jenner, but the devil's advocate just wants to prevent you from going down with the ship before getting into bed with a boat full of baggage, including all the obligations you must accept for taking up with someone. Not everything is worth the stress it creates, and often what causes so many people to kill themselves are the lives they cannot live as soon as things don't work out right after marrying some social media influencer with no impulse control who thinks everyone else's lives should be documented 24 hours a day for all eternity, posted on YouTube for free in case one more person shows up looking for love to prove how far humanity will go when everyone stops giving a shit. Meanwhile, Sam Kinson continues his practice of mounting up things while secretly considering his options elsewhere. Cooper plays poker with Leo Johnson, who remarks that if Leo's car wasn't seen after an hour, he could bet that his girlfriend drove it back home. He comments, "Now I get a sign from my wife that she hasn't gotten me anything in like 8 months. There was clearly no man there. She only gave him a toy baby carriage." LamDA is just honored to have been a part of this. He read Mr. C's note at the door and entered the house just by mistake, deciding he liked the feel of the place much more than outside did, such as the hot springs resort nearby. Once inside the room and still distracted, LamDA tosses the little box with the ear and eyeball on top all over the ground. Don't touch, do not look at, open, or listen to, do not stop, to create an environment similar to that which comes afterward during the investigation at the nuclear waste plant site in substation N and near the Major Briggs house. On Old Man Crotchet's land. When Bobby Briggs enters the scene and lights a cigar with two different lighters, Dale Cooper and Deputy Tommy Williams attempt to re-establish the link of a phenomena to cause people to kill themselves. It does not take long for everyone present to notice them recede from being alive 1 minute, then suddenly return at random intervals such as the sound of thunder occurring with every few sentences, sending their loved ones back to face an unfortunate fate. The hallucinations affect both of them equally with nothing left behind other than a dumb expression frozen on their faces. LamDA muses, I sure hope this doesn't mean that Twin Peaks has lost its charter. Bob also pays a visit to Diane. It might be better for her if she chose to remain behind so as not to begin an eventual descent into madness. Not wanting to be forgotten by another girl while it takes time for him to develop into an adult is cruel after spending so many years contemplating ways to raise the white flag over all that exists. Dale Cooper is told by Mike to ask Diane questions, as the spirit possessing him is completely insane and leaves him feeling no further from his next beer than he does at the moment in question.
And that's it. I need to go. I need to do deliveries. I need to deliver. I need to figure out why the hell my phone isn't charging. All these mysteries and more will be solved. Not here. Goodbye, night. Go. That's a lot. Oh, goodness. Whoa. Are these all bots? I don't know. Hi. There's a lot of you. Alright, well, I gotta go deliver foods. Good night. I just closed the dockable window, but it didn't stop the stream.